Welcome back, Lumineers, or welcome if this is your first time visiting my page. I am Melissa, aka Missy Enchanted, and this is episode 1 of a brand new series called Boost Friend Fridays. Now, what is Boost Friend Fridays? Well, this is the series that I've actually been wanting to do for quite some time. There have been so many amazing people I have met in this community. There have been moments where I just want to highlight those people, right? Those amazing champions we have within this Disney Lorcana TCG community. And the inspiration for Boost Friend Fridays actually came from my love of Star Wars. In Star Wars, there is a character called Ahsoka Tano. Spoiler alert, she is the young Padawan of Anakin Skywalker. And the voice actress of Ahsoka Tano, her name is Ashley Eckstein. Now, I have followed Ashley's career since around the time of Star Wars weekends over at Disney's Hollywood Studios. So it's been a minute that I have just followed her because Ahsoka had become and still is my absolute favorite Star Wars character. Now, in following Ashley's career, of course, I became a huge fan of her line, her clothing line, her universe, which was an absolute first for the industry. She wanted to make sure that fangirls, such as myself, had a way of expressing themselves, and it hadn't happened prior to her. So very much she is an amazing person to look up to. And even more so, she is someone who loves, as she calls it, to hype her friends. She calls herself a hype friend, right? And she does this all the time, and I just constantly see her talking about how proud she is of her friends, and she very much is someone who hypes them up. Funny enough, Ashley actually started a podcast called Hype Friend, and it co-stars her and one of her very good friends, I believe from high school, Michael James Scott, who you may or may not know as the genie on Aladdin in Broadway. So that's pretty cool how they were able to take something that she was always just very well known, in my opinion, for, and turn it into a podcast. And even more importantly, a movement, right? A philosophy, a way of living. And I think it just continues to perpetuate really positive vibes. And that's really what I wanted to do with this new series, right? But I wanted to do it for the members of this Disney Lorcana community. So first, just want to say, if you're ever going to watch this, Ashley and Michael James, thank you so much for this inspiration. I couldn't have done it without you guys. Now, with that being said, I do want to mention this will be a long episode, being that this is the introduction one, but I wanted to set some background as to why and who is going to be my first Boost friend for this Friday. And I will start by saying that it is a very good friend of mine. His name is Joseph, Joe for short. Now, before we get to meet Joseph, I want to kind of quickly mention how I started getting into the social gaming aspect of Disney Lorcana. Initially, when I'd heard about Disney Lorcana, I pretty much knew I was going to collect it because I am a huge Disney fan. And I will never forget the moment that we started, my husband and I, doing YouTube research on Disney Lorcana before it even launched. He told me, he said, you need to actually learn to play the game. If you are going to collect said shiny cards, you need to be able to play, because there will be certain cards that you can only get through competing. And he was absolutely right. Enter Disney Lorcana challenges, enter set championships. And so what did I do? I leaned into my competitive side, and I did learn the game, and I started practicing. Fast forward, this was during still the first chapter. We were, I want to say, about a month in at most of having the cards physically in our hands, and I built my very first deck. And I was actually proud of it. Now, did I know what I was doing 100%? Probably not. But I was very proud to have built this deck that catered to my certain playstyle. And eventually did have the courage, with my husband's encouragement, to physically go to a local store and actually play. Now, this was actually during a work trip for me. I had actually driven down to my hometown of Miami. I do currently reside in Orlando. I had done the research, and I noticed that there was a local store close to my then job, and they were hosting their Lorcana night on a certain day. And I realized that I could be able to visit said event after work. Fast forward, I'm in the parking lot, I'm getting nervous. I'm, talking to my husband, saying, oh my gosh, I don't know, what to expect. I'm really nervous. And of course, just the words of encouragement continued. So I braved it. I entered the store And it was very reminiscent of new student in a brand new school. You know, you walk into that cafeteria for the first time and you just have no idea who anyone is. And of course, they have no idea who you are. But I still pushed through. I walked straight to the counter, told them what I was there for, signed up for the event. Came to find out then that it wasn't a just local practice. It was in fact a pay to play. So this was a tournament. So here was my first exposure to playing Lorcana, Disney Lorcana, with other people outside of my husband. And it was legitimately a tournament. I don't think I had enough time to react in terms of how nervous or whatnot, because at the end of the day, I came there with the mentality of playing. Whether it was an official tournament or casual play, I don't think that really changed anything in terms of my mentality. I had my cards. I knew enough of the mechanics of the game to be able to play. It was just a matter of my skill, right? So fast forward, we start, and every single person that I played, it was about 5 or 6 rounds, I lost to. So I went a whopping O and X. It wasn't good. But you know what? I had zero expectations for how I was going to perform. I think the part that actually hit me the most was the fact that in retrospect, and even in the moment, not a single person said hi. Not a single person was cordial enough to start some sort of pleasantries with me. All of my opponents basically sat down, initiated roll, and we played. And the second the game was over, they got up and they left. And in between rounds, it was just kind of awkward. I was on my phone. And it wasn't overall a pretty fun experience. So, not blaming anyone. Obviously, I certainly don't expect people to move mountains and welcome the one random person that they probably will never see again. But at the same time, you know, if I'm looking for something of, you know, if I'm looking for longevity in this experience, this wasn't a good first impression. And I think we would all agree that this wasn't it. And I think a lot of people would not have felt encouraged to continue if their experience was very transactional, right? If at minimum. Tournament ended. Obviously, I did not make top cut. So I quietly left, went back to my car, called my husband, and I can't remember if I cried, but I certainly was feeling not so good. And I do remember telling him, hey, I don't think this is for me. I think I'm done. And, you know, I explained that, you know, no one said anything to me. No one welcomed me. No one really explained what was going on. We just kind of started. It wasn't necessarily what I had pictured in my head in terms of hopefully a welcoming community, you know, at least something, right? Hey, I'm so-and-so. Nice to meet you. Is this your first game? Absolutely zero interaction. And that moment, I think, defined the person I wanted to be in a social aspect. And I certainly wanted to make sure that had that experience ever happened to anybody else, and I'm the person sitting across from them, I would never, ever, ever, ever leave it at just high roll. No, I will introduce myself. I will inquire about my opponent, and I will make that small talk, and then, you know, get to know them a little bit, right? It's, in my opinion, I don't think it costs much to do much. Now, I know in the competitive aspect of things, we're not here to make friends. And I completely understand that, and we can separate the two. Make no mistake, right? But if this is a local, casual setting, whether you're doing a pay-to-play tournament or not, I think there's some human courtesies that kind of need to be there. If I'm wrong, please tell me in the comments. But as far as I'm concerned, this is a community that you build, right? And back then, Disney Lorcana was only about a month or two old. So if this is the experience that everyone gets, would we have thrived? Probably not. So I do and hope to chalk my experience up in the 1% of, hey, this isn't the norm. And I certainly wanted to make sure that, again, if I was the opponent on the other side of that brand new player, that they would have a good introduction to Disney Lorcana because I helped make it so, right? Not to brag, not to do anything like that, to pat myself on the shoulder, but more so because this is something that I have very much passion for. And I'd like to say that a lot of us who come from a Disney-loving background, we all would agree that this is the community that we wanted to be in and hopefully are in. My work trip was over. I'm back in Orlando. And I'm still pretty discouraged from, wanting to venture out and do any other type of casual or social play. Of course, there was my husband again encouraging me to try at least one more time and brought up a good point. Hey, you went to a store that wasn't a local store. Why don't you try something here and see what happens? He was absolutely right. So I took to Facebook. I went into our local Facebook group for Central Florida, and I just put myself out there. Hey, I'm a new player looking to potentially play the game in a social way. And that night got responses from quite a few people. But there was one person in particular, of course, Joe, who went out of their way to say a little bit more. And what he stated really is what hooked me. And it wasn't just, hey, these are the places that have League, right, in terms of Disney Lorcana. He went further and explained, this is, our local store. We play on X day at X time. And we have a very small knit group, but a group that is filled with mostly new players. And we welcome all levels of play. And I appreciated that. And even though it was just words on a screen, I can tell that it was someone who cared enough to go out of their way and express, hey, I think you would fit here. And luckily, I took that chance. And that very Sunday, I went to League. And the second I walked back towards where the playing tables were, I see the small group and a gentleman standing, that gentleman being Joe. He immediately recognized me from my Facebook photo, and I recognized him from his. And he welcomed me. And he said, come on in, don't be shy. And he went around the room, introduced everybody, introduced me to them, and just said, have a seat, let's play, let me get your information so I could put it on the tracking board, because back then we used to track our points for prizes. And it was just this seamless, great introductory to this store. And honestly, I never looked back. After that, it was every Sunday. And then I brought my husband, and then more people kept showing up. And we just continued to grow this amazing group of friends who played this game. Different levels, of course. We all came in with different skill levels and interest in playing the game. But nonetheless, we really did grow a great community and a great store. And I attribute a lot of that to where I am now, right? Being able to have the courage to create my own channel and create, Missy Enchanted. And I do attribute a lot of that, for sure, to Joe and just his kindness. And this is why I wanted to create this new series, because I think it's very important for those who maybe struggle or are hesitant to socially join this game. Hopefully you watch this and are encouraged by my story and my experience to, if you did have an initial bad one, please try again, right? We'll go through some other tips during my interview with Joe, but I really hope that this video just sparks inspiration and, continues to make sure that we're not only hyping or boosting our friends in this community or our members of this community, but we're also encouraging and welcoming others to continue to join it, because this is still a very young game and who knows where it can go, but it won't go far if we're not inclusive. So that's what I want to spread. That's the joy I want to continue to bring into this community. And I hope you guys enjoy my interview with Joe. So welcome to Boost Friend Fridays. Well, hello everyone. All right, so I'm here with my good friend Joe. Say hi, Joe.
Hi, Joe. Hi, Obvious.
This is Joe. This is literally him in a nutshell. So as I've probably already introduced, I've started a new series, and I couldn't think of a more perfect person to start with than Joe, for reasons I have hopefully already explained, into this little interview here. So Joe, we've known each other now for what, 2 years? Since chapter 1, basically.
Since the start, yeah.
Yep. And we will get a little bit more into that, right? But I wanted to kind of just ask you some fun questions.
Sure.
The first one being, because we're both fans of Disney, both fans of basically the umbrella of Disney, right? So Star Wars, Marvel, you name it, right? We're literally representing. So tell me what brought you into Disney? What was that for you? What sparked your interest?
I think like most kids, there was the basic level of just exposure, especially back in the days of the old plastic VHS cassette tape cases.
Yep.
But I would say more specifically for me, it's that connection. I think it was probably a familiar story of it's my parents.
Yep.
Being able to share that with them,
Yep.
being able to learn lessons through them. I'm a very big believer in the value of story and narrative, and Disney was one of my earliest exposures to that, being able to understand the value of a fairy tale being retold, being brought in to guide young people into a very complicated world, but in a way that they can easily process and understand, being able to look at
Yep.
simple images, but take away something very big from it. And then adding on to that, just all of the other experiences that come across from it, making trips out to the various parks,
Yep.
in those younger years, and the excitement of just getting to see a world come to life very much fueled a lot of the passion for certain elements
Yep.
of creativity in me. So I would say that's probably one of the biggest ways that I was drawn into Disney.
Thank you for that. Thank you. Yeah, I definitely share the similar thing. And I think a lot of us do too, where we've been introduced to this mostly through family influence. So it's always good. And I'm sure you have personal memories that you cherish
Absolutely.
because of it. And of course, so do I. So yeah. Naturally, I'm assuming Disney Lorcana was a no-brainer for you.
Pretty much. Yep.
Okay, so tell me how that started for you.
So I'd had previous experience with CCGs and TCGs. But that experience was well distant. It was very much more growing up than it was, recent in activity. I'd done the original Decipher Star Wars CCG back when such a thing was a thing. I was Magic when it started, before there was expansion sets. Rode through the Ice Age was one of my things I loved at the time. Super classic. Dabbled a little bit all the way into high school. Kind of hit my first real competitive scene during that time, and then kind of just realized that it wasn't part of the life that I was building then. So I stepped away, and then it was a good 20 so years.
Wow.
When this came out, I was mostly drawn originally in for just the collecting side, and I remain mostly a collector to play, but also the collecting piece is where a lot of the heart kind of sits. With that said, I then looked at it and very much said, oh, I see that there is an event happening. I should at least go, because I do like getting to play the games.
Yep.
Anything that is TCG and CCG. And I had stepped in every once in a while when there would be a set of something that I would casually collect to go, oh, I could play this. I would step in for a couple weeks and play a Pokemon set. And then I wouldn't play for 4 years. And then when this came around, I stopped in on the first week of its inception, and the rest then became history.
The rest is history, absolutely. So you've been a local judge for us. Spoiler alert, we are at our local game store right now. And as far as us meeting, it was because you had extended an invite to me. I was looking for a place to play. And this was after, a not so good experience, right? And my husband did encourage me, you should put yourself out there one more time. I went on Facebook to our local Facebook group for the city, and I think you were the first or second person to respond, right? And that, I will say, the rest is history, because then I went that Sunday, right?
Yep.
We built a community, you built it, right? You were the glue of it, I want to say. And I haven't looked back since.
And then all the other adventures that follow, challenges and the rest, and all the way out to California, the other adventures.
Yep. So I have a lot of that to thank for you. And honestly, I don't know where I would have been with this game. Maybe I would have just been a collector, very casually, kind of on and off player. So thank you. I really do appreciate you bringing me in and welcoming me.
Welcome. It was a joy, and it was a surprise, to be honest. So the origin of how all that began in the first place was I came to week one of my local store, which is where we're at now. And in week two, I had been running at another place, but they were taking a break because there was, I believe it was a Magic tournament that was taking their whole store on their Sunday. And I had decided I was going to bounce between those two places as a player at both. And I realized, well, if they're running a Magic event, I got to find someplace else to go. Decided to look for a place that was an hour and 25 minutes away from where I was at, but it was the only place I could find that was running that weekend, and I was really enjoying week two of the game. Went out there, and it was that location's week one. They had not launched on the first. Came out there, and there were two people. It was, well, in addition, the three with me.
Yep.
And I reached out to friends who worked at the store, and I said, well, we need someone to run this league. And they said, we can't afford to spare anyone. so you run it. I said, well, okay. I mean, as long as you're okay with me totally just, having just a terrible time with it and just, it's 3 people. What can I do? Lose them all? That's it. And I think we built a really special place out there, especially at the time. It was very much a fostering a place for people who weren't quite ready to delve all the way in. People who had some anxiety, who weren't really used to playing in a competitive environment, but wanted to still play the game. Even be competitive, but have a place where you could take a breath.
Yes.
And slowly but surely, again, it was just a lot of just casual interactions, people who would maybe just be looking at the case at the local store and just kind of strolling over and mentioning, hey, if you happen to be in this area, we're trying to put a thing together on Sunday. And it grew from 3 into our comfortable for a while. We had like 30 coming in there.
We had a lot.
For a good couple months, and we would normalize out at like the 10 to 20-ish thing, but yeah, it was really good. And then eventually had the opportunity at the place where I was a player here to then step in and learn about judging there, which then became a little bit more on the more competitive side. The events here are very competitive in their nature, whereas our Sunday group was, again, opportunity to compete or to play that deck that you've always wanted to play, which I think is just one of the great things about this game is if you just love that obscure Disney movie, if you're a Treasure Planet person, you can make your Treasure Planet deck and you can love that. For me, DuckTales, that's where it's at. That's as soon as they said Della Duck in set 3, I know it wasn't a great card. Didn't matter. It was going in my deck. She's my favorite character. I adore her. That's everything to me. So yeah, that really did the trick for me.
Yeah, it was super fun. I looked forward to the Sundays. Now, obviously, we've some of us have gone our separate ways. Some have gone to the competing side. Some have maybe put the game down for a bit. But nonetheless, I still consider the good majority friends, right? Like we keep in touch. We play. We see each other from time to time during set champs because this is a very big competitive market. So a lot of us kind of only see each other during set champs, right?
Or on release days at Disney Springs. That I got to say, it kind of feels like a little bit of a holiday because it's every 3 months. We're all in that line together, and it's as we're walking through just see you, and especially now that I've also judged at a lot of different DLCs locally, being able to see so many faces and go, cool, well, I was a judge for you, I was a judge for you, I was a judge for you, I was a judge for you. I haven't judged for you, but I was there when your husband was taking the weekend because you were just there because you had already won your set champ, so you're good. Yeah, no, familiar faces.
Right. And for me, it's like, I played against you. Oh, I remember your deck. Oh, I remember you. Oh, you were good. Yeah, so very, very similar, but opposite experience. We talked about kind of my background, how I got welcomed into the community. Very important question. Really the being for this video is there are people, and we understand, that have anxieties, are very nervous to get into this game. They're huge Disney fans, or maybe they want to play a TCG or a CCG, right? What advice do you have for that person who is at the cusp, maybe wants to do it, but they just really aren't there yet and they need those words of encouragement?
So I would encourage everyone to do what they can to find that. I think it's all about finding your people in that, finding the level that you're ready to come in. If you are ready to jump in and do the competitive thing, that's cool. Walk in with the understanding that in every match, half of players are going to be losing. If you can walk away with that and realize, it's going to be hard, especially if you're stepping in for the first time. I remember coming in as a player at this location, and I lost. Fortunately, I had a fellow player who is still one of my closest friends, who she and I kind of rose at the same level in this, where we both were just abominable. Yeah. We could not get a win in, and then we did. And it happened on the same week, where it's like, oh, no, did you win a match? Yeah, I finally won a match. And then next week, I won 2 out of 5. Oh, we're climbing up in the world. We tease each other, make fun of each other. And then we started hitting some of the titans. We beat the big guy for that week. Oh, it's like we sort of had mountains in our mind out of the people that we had been. I've never beat this person, and then we'd have those quiet moments, just like, you don't know, in this match I finally got blah blah blah. And then finally, it was still within set 1, which I did not see this coming. I didn't think that it would happen this soon, but still during set 1, we had a week in which I got first and she was second, and the two of us were just and honestly, we had the same record. It was just how, especially at the time, Melee just puts one person up because they 57.23, and the two of us just went absolutely ballistic together. Like we had the actual jumping up and down together, and it was really, really fun to be able to rise to that. Not everyone's looking for that competitive environment, so finding your people is definitely the thing. Finding if that just means you're starting out with friends. You don't have to start in the big stores. You can do it at home. I know that you're going to look to expand on that. So just reach out to people. Find people with that similar interest and make your own groups. Yeah. And if you're coming into a place, just try and sense the vibe, see if that vibe is for you, and try. I know that this is probably the hardest part.
Yeah.
Try not to take it personally if that vibe isn't yours. Try not to have that thing impact your experience of the game, because that's the people who are there. That's their experience, and they are getting what they're looking for, and that is also something that's valid.
Yeah.
We should have competitive environments. 100%. We should have places where, as we call them, you get a little bit sweaty. 500%. Recognize when you have someone who can do otherwise. And then find your way of enjoying the game. If you are someone who loves to play the puppies deck, play the puppies. You're not gonna. It's gonna be a challenge for you to make a top in a competitive environment with it, but that doesn't have to be the reason you play. And especially if you find the right community, if you find the right people, you can actually make something of it. A lot of my closest friends I met through this game. When before this game started, I was struggling. Just like so many, how do you find people out in the world? What's a way? Well, this is a great one. We're already sitting down with, we like cards. We also, especially in our area, loving Disney probably also means that you're hooked into the network. You're probably either a cast member or you like going to the parks. So being able to do that and go, cool, as much as I love playing you in a game, I also am looking for a friend. Talk to the person across from you. Engage with them. Have a good time. And I think that will help ease some of the anxiety. And hopefully you can find someone who you can connect with on your level. And again, if there's not a community, build it. Start with 2. You just find a person. That's all you need to play this game, is just one other person. And from there, just keep reaching out. It's one of the most challenging things to do is to make that connection, but I think at the end of the day it becomes worth it.
And I completely agree with you, and I think we both agree. It's basically, we know that some effort does have to come from it, right? If you certainly are interested in nurturing this interest. We are lucky to be in a very popular market for this game, and if that is not the case for you, like you said, find one person. It could even be a family member. Go to your local store or to your library. Just play the game in public. People, I promise, and you can vouch for this, will say, what are you playing?
What's going on? What is that?
What is this, right? They're going to see characters that they recognize. So it's a matter of starting that community, and you guys very well can. And maybe that is how you become more comfortable with the game, because you started it and now others are interested. And then you guys can make that community what you want. But there are Facebook groups, I believe, for most local places. If not, go ahead and build that one.
There are also some online tools in which you can get that practice piece of the game. There are plenty of videos that you can watch in order to get a handle on the game. If you have questions about cards, you are and anything online, you know this just as well as we do. You're always going to get someone who's going to snark at you because you're new. You're going to ask a question, and someone will say, "Read the card." Ignore those people. I know sometimes that's a hard pill to swallow. Know your boundary. Keep your boundary where it is, and just go, I'm not going to let that person affect me. I'm going to find my way to enjoy the game, but ask questions. There's going to be someone out there who wants to have the same community as you. I loved having the place that we had, because it truly felt like anyone can actually be here. We had families, we had kids, we had people who literally came in with special conditions where they needed to have a quiet place to play because their anxiety would tick up if they were around too many people. We were able to accommodate all that in part because we were starting from scratch, so we could define everything.
Correct, and that was the best part, just being able to define that community, and it's built at least who I am as a player, socially, competitively, whatever the case may be, and I like that. We could tailor to the people we play or sit in front of. All right, so I got to know, what do you prefer, playing or judging? Could be both.
So it's both. It's about the conditions. So as a player, I like to either play in the highest tier of competition or the absolutely lowest. I like being able to have something where for a whole day I can go into 15 rounds. We still haven't actually hit quite that point of something, but something like any of the DLCs, when I have had the chance to actually be at those, to be at an event where you can just say, cool, my day, I'm going to grind on this. I've got my deck, I've got my plan, I'm feeling like connected with it, and I'm just going to go and see how I fare against the whole. I'm not one of those who's angling for even like a top 64 kind of placement, but I like the opportunity to know in a group of 2,000 people, how long do I last? How do I stack up? And also, what does my deck do when it's pressed over and over and over again? On the flip side, I like the really, really low level. The playing on the kitchen sink with your friend. In the super most casual environment, I like when we get to be creative with some of the ways that we play, different styles of playing, different decks. Being able to come and go, I don't think this deck is any good. I'm just going to have fun because I like to see my cards come out on the table, and I get to do my fun little twisty things. The in-between is where I prefer to judge. The weekly locals, the local DLCs, or not DLC, sorry, the local set champs. Being able to judge on those, I really enjoy that because I like being able to watch people at work. I like also getting to make the connection. Here at our store, we also do like a weekly trivia bit that I get to like annoy people, honestly, mostly because I usually overreach with the questions that I'm asking as a little bit of a subtle flaunt. But to be able to also have that place in the community where people are coming knowing that you'll be there and being able to greet everyone that week. And it's almost more just like a focus on being able to help foster that piece of community. And then when there are people that are coming in, especially to our local, to be able to give them the opportunity to have a place to play casually while I'm running the big tournament, then I can, someone who's never played before or who's had the curiosity, who I see feeling that bit, I can say, cool, we have a deck. You want to just sit down and I'll walk you through it and we'll just play and just have some fun and have the player experience that parallels the growing experience. And we've actually had that recently with a big blossom in our casual community. Nice. But then getting to have those moments where someone who's been playing in the casual decides, hey, this week I'm gonna go step it up, and then getting to have that little bit of kind of like a moment as the one who's sort of like watching over and getting to have that nice. They found their place. They've grown up into this. And so I really enjoy that. I eventually got a little bit broken down with kind of having to hit the weekly grind of that. That for a lot of people, that's where they excel and thrive and where they find joy. For me, that eventually broke down, especially because it can get very hard to be in that spot of, even when you start doing well, the week that you don't, suddenly it hits. And then when you find yourself constantly, especially sitting on the bubble, which a lot of times will come out more to just a mathematical thing of the system spitting out the wrong number for you, and you just go, I won the same as the ones who are 2 through 8, but I'm 9. Well, I guess I'm going home feeling rough. Or those weeks where you just realize that you're not in the current state. You're like your deck's either just not firing, or sometimes literally your skill is just stumbling. And so for me, I like to take a step back away from that because I can sometimes a little over-identify with that. Biggest thing on that is someone else very much clued me in on this. They realize that I don't like to win and I don't like to lose. I don't like to beat other people because I don't like to make other people feel bad.
Fair.
I don't like to lose because I don't like to feel bad about myself. So on the two extremes, when it's that casual piece, I can play without that level of investment, where it's just kind of like, oh, my silly thing did the silly thing. I got the win, but I don't feel like I'm beating you up. We had fun because also you did that cute thing with yours. And then when you're at like the DLCs, first of all, you're able to just truck through and just go, cool. Nah, like the goal was like, we all know what we're here for. And that feeling of like when you beat someone in a state like that, it's more like I'm feeling confident. I'm feeling good about this. And also I can move on. And then honestly, it kind of actually becomes nice to see them later in the day where you can then check on and be like, hey, no, I know that you beat me or I beat you. How are you doing with the rest? Because then you are one of like 11 or 12 as opposed to in like your locals where it's like, yeah, you beat me an hour ago. I'm not really ready to talk yet. I'm still kind of smart, and especially because, no, I didn't win the next round. So you asking me now, I'm not really liking that right now. That's not really making me feel good about this. But so that's why I like those extremes.
I like that. Best of both worlds.
Yeah,
love it. It's been 2.5 years going on 3 of Disney Lorcana. We've talked about, you've judged, you've played, you've met a lot of people through this game. Is there one moment that you can say strongly and would care to share, like, this is why I play, or this is why I do what I do?
So on the one, I can actually start with me, which is the one that actually is probably my less favorite answer. But for me, it was the DLC in Fort Worth. I went there, and I had someone who was very much like having my back and getting me to that point that I had kind of mentioned before of like being able to get over my not liking to win piece. And I connected with my deck. I did better than I'd ever done. I scraped into somewhere in the top 100, which was higher than I had done at that point. And I was feeling really good about it. And I was walking like in the final round, I had a wonderful, eager opponent who, before we even sat down, was just draw, please, just let me draw, because we can both get into it. You're going to get the difference between 65 and 100, but we'll just both guarantee. And I just went, you're good, man. We're good. Let's. And then honestly, just getting to spend that time with that person afterwards, as we realized both of us were having our cusp moment of we're finally getting into a place, we're hitting a prizing, and then being able to spend the rest of that time. I remember that weekend going heavy on the rest of the grind, trying to get the other tickets, and I came home with a foil Cindy mat, and I came home with the Rapunzel and the Cinderella card, and it was just one of those things where, like, for me, that was one of my kind of like zenith moments where it's just like, yes, did it. I think that on the flip side, This is still a little bit of a me moment, but it's kind of more of a connection on the community moment. I think one of the places that really, I was actually at one of our recent pieces, we had some trouble with one of our, with the new system. And realizing that as it was all coming crashing down, that we were in truly a pickle. There was no reversing the situation that we were in.
Yep.
And so it was going to be a situation where, it was going to take probably a couple hours to repair everything that had done, because again, once the system progressed, there was nothing to do except for switch it to a different system and re-input all the data and everything like that. And I was borderline crashing at that point. I was going to be, it was a hard moment. And I went to tell the player base, and they simply said, "We know you've got this. We know you're on this. We understand how this is." It was the acceptance of the community that, like, no, we understand that the things happen and it's going to be okay. And then after that, I set to grind. And that work that was going to take forever was repaired before the round was even open. And as soon as I was starting the next round, I had someone who came up and was like, "No, we knew you had it. We knew you were going to take care of it." And I don't know, there's that little bit of just kind of like, this is very, self-promoting in that kind of way, but it is having actually the measurement of earned trust within the community. When I walk up to a tournament and someone will say something where they'll say, "I come to this tournament because you run it," or similarly, that idea of just, I know that the tournament is in good hands because I've never, I like to give a spiel before a lot of our set champs. At this point, I've stopped giving it with most because now those players have heard it, but to make sure that everyone knows what our expectations are, and to get that kind of feedback from players afterwards where they said, "I appreciate the way that you ran that." Honestly, that's a pretty big highlight piece for me, if I'm going to be honest. Like, it very much, it makes me feel good about the place that I have in the community. So.
Absolutely. It definitely speaks to your commitment to this game, your integrity. And if I do say so, I do have a story about Joe in the same topic. We went up to a not local store to play set champs, and we were ready. Pairings, I think, were made. And then we come to find out there was no judge. And as you guys may or may not know, set champs does require at least one judge. Joe, my dear friend Joe, who was my ride, by the way, I do need to mention that, said, "You know what? Drop me from the game. I will judge." And he literally put on the judge hat figuratively and then just went, "All right, here are the rules," and just went on to explain how it was going to run. And I think the coolest thing, to add to your credit, was one of the local players of that store went, "That was the clearest set of expectations I've ever heard any judge give." Right? Yeah. And it was a proud friend moment in that term. But then I was also like, you were supposed to play because you rarely play.
So as an add-on to that story, because this is what motivated that. We had gone to a tournament the previous day, and both of us had our butts.
We didn't do well.
Horribly. It was one of the rare times where I was especially salty at that tournament. I like to try and keep as much of a positive attitude. I was in a bad mood, and we had decided, hey, we need to get this bad stink out of our nostrils and go prove that we still got this. We're not bad. Like I had won like one game that day, and it was all of my matches were humiliating. And we had gone out to dinner, and we were all complaining about how bad of shape we were in. And then it was like, no, we're gonna go out. Tomorrow we're gonna do it. And so we drove like a good 5 hours. And we're like, we're gonna go here. We're gonna win. We're ready. We're ready. Rolling up. We're ready. We need a judge. She's ready. I'm some other day I'll prove that I'm actually good at this game. It will not be today.
That was fun. It was a good memory.
It was a good memory.
Yep,
it was a good memory.
But thank you for that. That just, it adds to the fact that when it comes to it, you're willing to, contribute. I was a little mad, not gonna lie, because I wanted you to play, but
yeah, I wanted to play too, but it had to be what it had to be. No tournament runs.
Yep. Oh, it is what it is. So we're gonna end this fun interview. Thank you again. With a fun question, because, why not? If you were given the opportunity to create your own Disney Lorcana card, sky's the limit, you can give me the whole thing, character, franchise, what would it be?
Okay, so since the sky's the limit, we're not doing one card. We're doing multiple cards.
Oh, no.
First, we're launching with the fact that I love Tinkerbell Giant Fairy. I want an expansion of the story. I want to see another one that's set in the Floodborn world of Big Giant Tink. I want to see what else affected. We haven't seen that where we've gone, it's affected these characters in this particular direction, but I want to see what happens when the other elements of that same Floodborn world come to pass. Second, I already got the fact that we got a Webigale Enchanted in this set. We're going to keep reaching for the moon. First of all, we're going for a Deladuck Floodborn, Okay, and it's going to be something where it's going to really emphasize her space. It's going to be like basically like Space Captain Della Duck. Really emphasize the fact that she went into space. It's going to be like Star Trek version of Della Duck. Floodborn as an enchanted. We're reaching for the moon here. Obscure franchise pieces to hit, or obscure to some. I want Rescuers Down Under, Cody, and then I want Frank. I want Frank the Lizard. Full on in. That's my guy. I want him to unlock a key. It's a whole thing.
Not Joanna?
Okay, I want Joanna too. Joanna too. And I want, so on the Joanna front, I want something that does the egg scene.
Yes.
I want Joanna's eggs to be, and then I want not Joanna's eggs to be an item. I want Joanna egg and I want not Joanna egg.
I love it.
Two items that work together. When you play Joanna on the field, blah, blah, yeah. We'll be in touch. Reach out, Ravensburger. I'm here. I can do the whole set for you. It's great. Finally, first of all, we're heading into Pixar territory.
Yes.
It's like, gotta throw out Wally as a, how are we not? Yep. That's going to be my thing. But as a last bit of just kind of like, let's go for slightly obscure but really fun. Yeah. I want Goob from Meet the Robinsons. Huh. Even more than I want Goob, I want an action. They all hated me. That's one of my favorite sequences from a Disney movie. It's a great meme. They all hated me. Hey, Goob, how you doing? Nope. I want that as a card. I don't care if I'm the only person that either plays it or gets it. They all hated me. I'm bowler hat guy. Goob.
Bowler hat guy. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Does he have a name? Because I feel like
Goob.
It's Goob, right?
Goob. Yeah, that's the reveal is that bowler hat guy is Goob. And he's telling the story in the past of, this is how I turned into a horrible villain. And again, he throws out that line of, and they all hated me, after he walks by kids who are just very jovially greeting him, just like, hey, Goob, how's it hanging? They all hated me. I relate, Goob.
You relate.
Relate to that moment. Yes, I believe in you.
I've always just known him as the bowler hat guy. Because that's what, I feel like Disney, that's what they call him.
That's what they lean into. I mean, that is who he is for the vast majority of the movie. That's functionally the lesson learned is, who is he beneath the bowler hat?
Fair enough. All right. Well, that was a lot. And when you were talking about the giant Tink, I immediately went, we kind of need a comic series of her.
We need a comic series, yeah.
That would be amazing.
Yep. Also, similarly, we have a couple of oversized cards. Oversized giant Tink. Nice. It makes sense. It also would be like
enchanted version though.
Oh.
All or nothing.
Oof, yeah. All or nothing. Now we're in. 1 out of 10,000 packs is the enchanted. There's only one of them. Yeah, how about that? There is one actual giant Tink.
Yeah. I'll take the proofs. Yeah. It's fine. Shane,
proofs is good.
All right. Okay, well, awesome. Thank you so much, Joe, again, for what you do for the community, what you've done for this interview. It has been amazing. I would love to just kind of see where your journey with Disney Lorcana continues to go, as well as myself, of course. And hopefully with all of these new franchises and stuff, we will just continue to enjoy this game at whatever capacity. Right? Nonetheless, I'm glad I've met you through the game, amongst others. And yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Well, Lumineers, thank you so much for sticking through to the end and watching the interview between Joe and myself. I really hope you took away some fun nuggets or learned something new about either Joe or myself throughout that story. Now, if you're here, I'm sure you liked it. So please, if you haven't, give a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I will be hopefully doing a Boost Friend Friday every Friday. That is the goal. But if not, I do want to make this an actual series where I continue to highlight other members of the Disney Lorcana community and really want to start first and foremost with those who have impacted my experience, of course. So hopefully we get to meet some new friends along the way and learn about how others make this community just as special as Joe. Thank you so much for watching and have a good day.